show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
And now, coming live from the Midwest Racks and Rod studio, it is the Outdoor Show with your hosts, the Bisco Brothers, Scott and Drew, with our producer, Luke PBR him ASAP Ortman, and with special in-studio guest, Nick Munding from Munding Outdoors.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. That's something there, huh?
Hi,
I
Nick.
don't know, let's just go with something. Huh?
Hey,
Welcome, bud.
how are you?
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
We want to welcome everybody back to another episode of the Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoor Show. This is a very special episode here. This is our tribute to Jason Schroeder. We got lots of things we're going to talk about with Jason tonight.
Let's unpack.
But before we get into it here, we got a couple words from our partners.
That's right, folks. Sorry, but we do have to pay the bills. So tonight's episode is brought to you by Tagged and Bagged. They specialize in pre-taxidermy and cut. No? Oh, we're live. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Tagged and Bagged. They specialize in pre-taxidermy packaging for waterfowl. Their mission is to provide hunters with the highest quality packaging products to ensure preservation of a hunter's prize trophy. Tagged and Bagged products are made with the best materials and are designed to withstand the toughest hunting conditions. Taggedandbagged.net. And of course, Bucket Ready offers premium food plot seed for the best results when attracting wildlife to your property. Knowing what deer prefer when they prefer it and putting the best seed together for deer and your special hunting spot is what Bucket Ready Performance Food Plot Seed Mixtures is all about. BucketReady.com.
Get on it.
Get on it.
You're always so close. But
I know.
What words is hard. So
They
we
sure
understand.
can. You know, I think it's a lot of the pre-gaming that might occur.
We do tend to pregame a little bit here. I think especially tonight. I mean, this is a difficult one here for us, but one that we talked about before the show. We don't want this to be all about doom and gloom and being overly somber about it because Jason was a very special person in all of our lives and many of you that are tuning in with us tonight. So it's important for us to think about the good memories. and
Celebrate
stuff.
his life.
Celebrate it. You
Right,
know?
absolutely.
Exactly.
It was a life worth celebrating.
Oh, most definitely.
Definitely plenty of memories.
Yes. Speaking of celebrations of life, April 5th, and we can post a link here later on into the description section here for those of you that want to tune in later or haven't been able to watch it live here with us. We will have a link posted for his celebration of life that's coming up 2 weeks from this Saturday in the Hubertus area on Fries Lake, however you want to call it.
Well, I like French fries, so let's go with fries.
Let's go with Fries Lake here in southeast Wisconsin. So we'll get you some more details on that. We hope to see many of you there. Jason was, like I said, very special to all of us, and we certainly want to celebrate him because, like you said, it's a life worth celebrating.
Absolutely.
We've never done an episode like this before, so you have to kind of bear with us here because it's really hard to. It's still really fresh for us. We lost Jason last week Friday, and though it wasn't unexpected, it's still hard, right? I mean, it's one of those things where it's coming, but it doesn't make it any easier. I was fortunate enough to be there alongside, bedside, along with his daughter, his brother, his son-in-law, and another close friend of ours, Amy, who's also been an integral part of helping with the caretaking and helping Jason here in these final days and weeks and that, and even beyond. She's also been a very close friend as well. So shout out to Amy. You've done an amazing job. Jason, I guess I'll start with when I first met Jason and that, and I certainly can't put a date to it because it's been well over 25 years ago, somewhere close to 25, 30 years ago. And in those times, I wasn't through most of a lot of you watching are probably just know him from the hunting industry and that. Mm-hmm. I knew Jason back when we used to party.
The good old days.
And boy, did we party. We partied hard. We had a lot of fun, whether it be at parties or at the bar and that. I mean, we never got anything too crazy, right? But
no Molly or...
nothing like that. But we like to have a really good time, that's for sure. And it was from that point on that we kind of got to know each other beyond the party scene and just like hanging out at the bar or things like that. We got to know that we both had this love and passion for the outdoors. And as you guys all know, Jason had a passion for the outdoors.
Lived and breathed it.
Almost like no other. Like you'll see in the description there was hardly matched for sure.
Right.
It ran through his veins and all the way to the very end. All the way to the very end. I mean, he fought tooth and nail. He wanted to get one more hunt in, one more walleye run in. That was what was most important to him.
I think,
I shouldn't say that. It was very important to him.
Right.
We'll get into some of those other things. Go ahead.
I just, I think to touch on that, expand on that a little bit, we had our team ice fishing trip this year, and Jason made it out, and it was like when Scott was telling me, yeah, Jay's coming out and he's bringing his son-in-law, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, if I it's just who he was, right? He didn't, at no point did Jason give up. When I think it would have been really easy for a lot of people to be like, you know what, no, he was like, no, I'm gonna get out on the ice and I'm gonna fish. I felt terrible that the bite was super slow.
Right. It was.
We were marking fish like there was no tomorrow, but it just they were not hungry. He
would never throw in the towel. That's the thing.
He didn't care. He
no
was
matter
just
how
happy
much
to
pain
be
he
out
would
there.
have been in.
And it was like
wanted to be there.
In that moment, where it's a long, frustrating day on the ice, and it was like, well, damn, if he can be happy just being here, why the hell can't I?
Right.
So it was a really nice chance to see him again and get him out there with the team, and I think he enjoyed it. I think he appreciated it. I know he did.
Definitely.
Well, I'll say, and to be honest with you, I haven't even really thought about this until just now, that Jason and I's first and last ice fishing trip, not that it was actually our first, but in the grand scheme of what Midwest has become.
Right.
Midwest was formed or solidified in that with the four of us, Jason, Chris DeMolly, Elijah Keller, and myself, me being the last one to join Midwest, was on Fox Lake. And mid to late February, 6 years ago. And we got mid to late February, 6 years later, we got to spend one more ice fishing trip together on that same lake. And I didn't even really piece that together until just now. I mean, there's a lot of things, little synchronicities that have been popping up in my mind lately, obviously, when I think about Jason. But that one literally kind of popped in my mind that, Midwest is just over 6 years old now. It was officially formed in February of 2019. So yeah, that's that kind of blows my mind a little bit here thinking about it, and
It's kind of fitting, right?
it is. And we talked a little bit about before the show. I said, if we're going to do this thing, or what I would like to contribute to Midwest, and that is doing the podcast or this video podcast show and stuff that we started very, very rudimentary.
Now the half-assed show.
Right. Well, it's always been half-assed. It's a little less half-assed than what it used to be. But going through old photos and videos and stuff from back in the day and episodes we had Jason on and that, where we used to try to record the shows and not script it per se, but like we would record. And I just have video after video after video, like cut, scratch this shit. This is terrible. And Chris would look at me like, we're an hour and a half into this thing here. We can't start all of them. Like, we're starting over, scratch this bitch.
Man.
Excuse me. Just unbelievable. And Jason, if you guys can see here, we have a Mountain Dew out here. He would be about 5 Mountain Dews into that show for sure. And
God.
I watched some of those videos, and by the end, it just looked like we all hated each other. Like we weren't even smiling or laughing anymore. We're just like this is terrible. It's midnight. It's 1:00 in the morning, and that we're just completely bug-eyed and like what's happening.
I never told you this, but Chris told me that Jason told him privately that if Scott says cut one more time, he's gonna slit your throat. So there's a very good chance
with a dirt nap broadhead.
There's a very good chance that you guys were not friends at the end of those.
I see a comment here from Elijah saying he only drank cans. That's not true. That's not entirely true because full well from all the trade shows and stuff that we've done with him over the years.
It's mostly cans, though.
It is mostly cans. And who doesn't like a can over a bottle? But there'd be times where he'd have 3 bottles left and it's 2:00 in the afternoon. And we're like, we only got a few hours to go. And Jason would be in panic mode. And who's running, who's running to the gas station? And
getting the next Mountain Dew, you start getting the jitters.
Right. I'm like, you got 3 20-ounce bottles there, buddy. Like, I think you're going to be okay. No. And they'd be like, Nick, don't you need some chew? Nick, don't you need some more chew? I mean, I don't even know how many gas station runs during trade shows and whether it be for your tins or his bottles of Mountain Dew. My God. And I'm like, guy, for me, I'm like, well, we got a good amount of vodka in there yet. So.
That's all that really matters.
But,
either that or he'd always leave the trade show to run back out to his truck because he would always have 12 packs of Mountain Dew in the back seat.
Right.
He would always have an extra 12 pack on standby just in case.
It's just wild.
I think it was Madison, though, back when the Deer and Turkey Expo was there. And he's like, I left all my soda in the hotel room. And then I'm like, well, how far away do we get? It's going to be probably an hour round trip with traffic and that. By the time you get in and out.
And the hotel was right across the street.
Like, tick, tick, tick. Like, oh, my gosh.
Like, how in the hell does a man drink that much Mountain Dew and A, not be diabetic, or B, not be 500 pounds?
Right.
Well, I'm a prime example. I used to drink Mountain Dew like that. I used to drink it by the gallon. Well, that's what you get.
Right. I mean, my God, my teeth hurt just thinking about it.
He had a metabolism, man. I'll tell you what.
Well, I mean, he was, always active, always outdoors.
Always outdoors, yeah. Well, yeah. A lot of us are, but still, like, he had a metabolism like that. And the guy could eat. It'd always be about afterwards, well, where are we going out to eat? Where are we going to get a steak from? Or,
Not even that, just going to the property.
Right.
He's got a tub of Pringles. He's got more candy over here. He's got another bag. Oh, we got to stop at the gas station. He goes in and buys like 5 more bags of candy.
A whole stick of bear sausage or venison sausage.
He always had food. I wish I could eat half as much as him.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
my God.
No kidding.
No doubt. But
me, a moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips.
But anyways, why don't we get into Nick? Why don't you tell us a little bit? I mean, you met Jason, what year was that?
Around the time you guys started Midwest. Because it was, I want to say the first or second year Tacticam was out. I think it was like 7-8 years ago.
I think I introduced him to you at that one show, the Tacticam show that we were doing at Deer Fest that one year.
Yeah, because it was at West Bend at that time.
And he was working with Adam over at RAC.
Yep, and you actually introduced me to Jason at that show. From that time, I mean, we weren't super close from there, but probably about a year later, when it came down to doing shows, Jason was the only guy that I would ever call and ask to come with me. Oh, yeah. He knew the product. He loved it. Was good with talking with people. Jason, you were there. You were
try shave me.
No.
Rob, you were there.
I traded you in for Jason. But so
the Chevette for the Corvette.
But I mean, in the beginning, all the shows were us. It was mostly the three of us. Occasionally, my wife Amanda would be at some of the shows with us. And then more towards the end, it's like people got busy and a lot of team members changed. So it was always me and Jason, and I knew I could always count on Jason to be there. So it was just one of those things that started there and took off.
Right. And then that's kind of the thing with Jason, right? Anybody who knows him, you'd be instant friends with him once you started talking hunting and fishing with him,
Just going to bring the bottle right over.
Yeah, you might as well, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be that.
Yeah, you got to bear with us here tonight, folks. We're working through some things here. It's still really
like
fresh.
The easiest person to get along with.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, and like you said, as soon as you brought up anything to do with hunting or fishing, you guys are like best friends. Mm-hmm. Everybody, anybody.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can say that, like when you're at the barbecue, you're searching out that one guy over there. Like, I think that guy might hunt or fish. And that, you don't know anybody else there, right? It's something your wife dragged you to.
Trail cams or like, what's he doing? Yeah.
But the amount of people that Jason has met throughout his years in the hunting industry, working with different companies and things like that, and the friendships that he's gained. So for the last 6 weeks here, we got Jason moved back up here to West Bend from Beloit, because I could help him out, and it was closer. His daughter's here in West Bend, and that the sheer number of phone calls and messages and texts and things like that. Once it kind of got out there a little bit, Jason was really quiet about it for the better part, for about a year, basically.
I'd say, probably a year.
That first year and it was only recently, and I think a lot of people even then didn't realize it, because he kind of just snuck it into that ice fishing post that he made when we were out on Fox Lake. And you know how people are on social media, it's scroll, like, oh, pictures, like, scroll, like, whatever. But how often do people actually sit there and read
the caption
on it?
Right.
And I think a lot of people miss that, where he had kind of snuck it in there that, I don't remember his exact words or whatever, but yes, it was then at that point, it was official. He kind of put it out there on social media that he had cancer. Obviously, people had known about it prior to that, but Jason was that kind of guy that he didn't want anybody feeling sorry for him.
Right.
He didn't want the sympathy. He wasn't out there putting anything out there so that...
None of the pity me stuff.
No,
exactly.
Absolutely.
It was
absolutely. No.
Even when he was having a bad day, I know there were a couple times, I'd call, check, see how he was doing, and I just got out of the hospital, here, there, the other. Well, how you doing? I'm feeling great. Everything's great. I feel amazing, no pain. A couple of days later, I either talked to you or I talked to his daughter, and it's like he was like dying in pain.
Yeah.
He was like hurting. It's like he never wanted to put his pain or his struggles on anybody else that he was talking to.
Yeah.
And
he didn't want a pity party.
So many people that I've talked to since they found out and him passing, I just talked to him a week ago. I just talked to him 2 weeks ago. We were just messaging, and I never knew. Like, everything was fine.
Yeah.
And...
Well, and I think it, going back to that day on the ice, right? Where, I've known Jason for a while, not obviously, certainly not as good as you guys have, but seeing him on the ice and it's like, oh my God, he looks frail. He looks sick.
And he still gave it 100%.
Biggest damn smile, you know.
Oh,
hey,
he was
Drew,
so happy
How
to be
you
up.
doing? I'm like, oh, you know, good, yeah, good. I'm just happy you're here. He's like, yeah, I'm happy too. And I'm like, damn it, yeah, that's how we should all be. Is just happy
he was
that
in
we're
his
here.
element. You know, it's,
I loved it.
Our producer Luke was sitting there trying to bait a hook in that and having a meltdown and had to throw his pole down and slam like 3 Miller Lights. And now, all the while, Jason's dealing with what he's got going on. Don't you feel like a piece of shit right about now?
Yes.
For the record, though, that
Never
was,
got the hook baited.
that was funnier than shit. He lost his mind. He's like, God damn it, I can't bait this freaking hook. I'm too big with my stupid big fat hands,
My
and
fat fingers.
I'm hunched over in this stupid shanty.
You guys had me in the corner. The tallest one, you had me in the corner that was 3 feet off from ground. No chance.
Starts
But
his coat off.
right. But there was Jason in that, just
Yeah,
sitting in his one man shanty
Smiling
there,
and
and
laughing.
and
happier than shit.
enjoying
Right.
every minute of it.
he was so happy that his son-in-law was out there
Great guy, by the
ice
way.
fishing for the first time. You know, getting him out on the ice, that was really important for him. He's like, whether you end up liking it or not, you know, it's you got to at least try it once in your life. And obviously ice fishing isn't for everybody.
Well, I know he's a big fisherman though.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
he likes fishing normally through summertime, so
Absolutely.
I'm sure that trip turned him on to ice fishing.
Yeah.
If it don't, we'll have to get him out again this upcoming
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We
next
most
winter.
certainly will.
I don't know
We'll turn
how
him
you
on to it.
can't like ice fishing. You know,
As long as there's blackberry brandy involved, it's okay.
or Abergoots. You know,
Sure,
a bottle
sure.
of Abergoots.
Sure.
Right? I mean, that was, you got to have the Abergoots out there. A little
Right.
snowshoe, a little Paramount, something like that.
Yeah.
You're just, you know, and it's also cool when you're just kind of out mingling about and you're talking, you get to meet other people, other fishermen and women, what have you. It's just, it's a very different atmosphere than summer fishing, in my opinion, you know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's far more social and that. I mean,
Yeah.
Or you get me
set
out
tip
there
ups and tip downs and that. And
dressed
and
like
just
the
have a good
Stay
time.
Puft Man with so many clothes on because I'm always cold. I'm always the one that everybody can point and laugh at.
It's Gore-Tex.
Yeah, bear with us, guys, because we're going to be kind of bebopping and scatting all over the place here, bouncing all over. Just because when you think of Jason, I mean, we've had so many conversations on the phone in the last just, you know, few weeks here and just even the last few days. And that it's when you talk about them, there's always something that like pops up. One of the things, actually, before I get into the next thing I want to talk about, Luke, what do we have for some comments there?
Sure. Nick Sutter, he said he was the best uncle. I could see Jason being an awesome uncle to the people. Jeffrey Morgan, I'm going to miss Jason. We never got to meet in person, but he was the go-to guy when I needed something as far as anything regarding buckstick.
Big buckstick guy, yeah.
Absolutely.
Bob's artist, great tribute to a great person. He only drank cans.
That's from Elijah. I think, was there a comment there from Chris? Chris chimed in.
Oh, yeah. Chris wrote he remembers having a group meeting on Skype, and Jason was never paying attention. He would look back to his phone and look like a deer in headlights because he forgot what we were having a meeting about.
Oh, my God. That's a topic right there for sure. And Elijah, if you're still watching, I'm sure you are, you can attest to this too. So in the early days of the Midwest team in that, we would have these Zoom or Skype meetings in that. And a lot of it was predicated on Jason's schedule because, you know, being a screen printer and running his own business and stuff, the guy was just a workaholic. And so it'd be, 8 o'clock at night or something like that before we'd finally first get a meeting going, sometimes even later.
And let me guess, he's in his truck driving home from just delivering a bunch of deliveries.
That, or he's in his apartment and he's cooking some food up, and I literally have screenshots, and I should have actually shared some of those because they would just be like him, like looking straight up his nostrils while he's cooking something on the stove and cracking another Mountain Dew, and then he'd have CSI or something like that on the TV. And we're like, just sit there and like, Jason, are you ready to start talking here about what we need to figure out? And, oh yeah, well, hey, what were we talking about? And just it was every time. And to know Jason is to know that like his brain is going a million miles an hour, and whatever you're talking about right now, he's already thinking about the next thing. And that like that's just the way.
Yeah.
That's just the way his brain worked, and made him really good, as a business person and everything he did in the outdoor industry. But the guy just never, like his brain never quieted down. I feel like
Might
just
have been
an
the 2
absolute maniac
cases
with
of
that.
Mountain
Well,
Dew
yeah, it might have had something to do with that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many missed trips, hunting trips, that we've planned at least a dozen out-of-state hunting trips. And you know how many we went on? One.
Oh, you did get. You
Right.
did get the one. You did get the one.
Because we would get almost all the way dialed in, and then all of a sudden he'd throw out a different state. 2 hours in a conversation in that, and be like, and then we're getting it dialed in, and all of a sudden he'd throw out, well, what about this state? I'm like, what are you kidding me, Jason? I'm like, I'm already looking up hotels or Airbnbs that we can stay at on this and that. Wow, yeah, but so-and-so was just hunting out here. I think we should go out here. I'd like to go back out to South Dakota and that. And it would just be like, all right, we got to revisit this in a few days. And then, one thing led to another.
And it don't happen.
And, or we'd have that same conversation. We'd get 2 hours in and there we are again. Or we'd start talking about Midwest, or we start talking about clothing and things like that. Like it was always really, really difficult to plan some of those trips. But fortunately this year we were able to get down to Bigger Buck Outfitters in Illinois for a week, and that was a blast. We were down there for the opener. We were unsuccessful. We had a couple close opportunities between myself, Jason, and Billy, but just weren't able to get it done. Billy should have shot the buck he had a chance at, but he was hoping for something even bigger. But we won't go there.
Well, I think you know a thing or two about that as well.
All right. But, oh, yeah, absolutely. I get it. But it was a great time. It was fun to do that trip with him.
And of course, the one trip I'd choose and opt out of going to, work and everything was going on, because I know I was supposed to go to that one initially with you guys.
Yep, absolutely.
Let me tell you, I'm kicking myself all the time for not doing it. Just being that's the trip. That was the last one.
Sure.
And not being able to be there really kind of stinks. But
yeah, but you can't look at it like that. You just got to focus on the ones that you did do and the times that you did have with them. It's too easy to fall into that. Yeah. When it's the last of anything, that you're like, damn, I really screwed the pooch on that one, so to speak.
Well, I think there's something to be said about that too, right? Like, take advantage of those opportunities, those times, and don't squander them. Whether that be with your family, whether that be with your friends.
We were just talking about that before the show started, about how Jason had, he had a tight circle of friends. He had a lot of friends, but he had a tight circle. Mm-hmm. And how this tight circle was very spread out, but would always make an effort to go and see each and every one of you guys.
Well, right, yeah.
And you're down there and we're up here and Elijah's over there and
Billy's farther north.
Billy's even further north.
At the farm.
Right. It was always, it wasn't like it was convenient, but yet he still made an effort, and I think we talk about stuff like that, or how he lived his life, or we talk about, really just savoring every moment that we can. We really got to start living our lives like that, right? Just in general, just speak a little softer and love a little harder, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what Jason was. He was the embodiment of that. Right. He didn't really,
and not even just all of his friends, but even Shikari. That was another one that was dialed in.
Absolutely.
Shikari and the boys. He made time for everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
wow. operating a successful business.
Yeah, and running his own business on top.
And having seen every episode of CSI.
It's like how, like, dude, you have the same 24 hours as
Oh,
the rest of us.
that guy hardly slept.
And
I
pretending
can't
to
tell
be
you.
the UPS driver too, because as you know, he delivered almost every big bundle of shirts,
Right.
jerseys, everything he did. He was
That was
delivering it.
within 2 hours or so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
And then you wonder, how in the hell do you even got time to go hunting and fishing? My
Right.
God.
right.
How are you getting this done? It just goes to show you how impressive he was.
He's always blown my mind with that kind of stuff. Like, there's times where, I just want a day to decompress and that and just veg out on the couch. And, like a weekend like this, you got the NCAA tournament going on. I love that stuff. And well, let's just be honest. Jason didn't like sports at all. Like he didn't care about football or anything like that. But it was just always on to the next thing. What am I going to do? Am I going to go out shed hunting? Am I going to go hit the walleye run? Am I, get ready for turkey season? Start scouting, doing food plots, going up by Brad and at the deer farm. Back in the day, spending a lot of time out at Shalom.
Up by Adams helping out with food plots.
Yeah,
as well.
all these things. Like it was just always go, go, go. And that's why he didn't gain a pound off the Mountain Dew. That's for sure.
I gained 5 just looking at that.
I know, exactly. I'm like, I might have to crack that here at the second half of the show here.
290
just to keep going here.
calories in that bottle. I'm looking at her. 290 calories in one bottle.
Oh, geez. Here, I thought I was making a good switch to orange. It's only 30 calories less.
Minus the
Oh, it's a fruit.
So one of the things another thing, just so you guys know that are watching right now, we're going to open up the phone lines in the second half. We do a 5-minute intermission. We kind of always split this up into 2 halves here. And I want to get into the phone lines, and I want to hear your stories. I want to hear your comments and stuff. So keep them rolling in, guys. Share your memories that you have of Jason. That's really important to us.
Please do.
But being a brand ambassador was also really important to Jason.
Huge.
And not in the way that a lot of people are into being a brand ambassador. He wasn't doing it, and he wasn't a brand ambassador for just anybody. He did it with products he believed in, and he went all in on this stuff. You know what I mean? It wasn't because so-and-so reached out to him and said, hey, would you be a brand ambassador or pro staff?
Right.
I hate using that word or a team member for this or that or anything like that. For Jason, it was products he believed in, and that
Products that he used regularly.
Exactly.
And knew that they worked and believed in and trusted in.
And I think probably one of the biggest ones, as we all know, is Dirt Nap. I think by and far.
Buck stick as well.
So much so, I can't tell you how many people over the years asked me if Jason owned Dirt Nap. I'm like, no, that's another gentleman called Tom Edelman, and but Jason was by far the biggest ambassador for Dirt Nap broadheads. He got. I can't even tell you how many of my own friends and that. I mean, to start shooting them.
I got a handful of them.
Right. I mean, between the original DRTs to the alphas to the shred heads for turkey hunting.
He loved his shred heads.
Yeah.
Wasn't he going to borrow your shotgun?
Oh yeah, tell him.
For turkey
For
hunting.
the last 5 years, he has borrowed my turkey gun. Insisted he's shooting a bird with the shotgun this year. So I'd give him a full box of shells, turkey loads. He would take my shotgun. End of season comes around. He brings back the shotgun and goes, well, here's your turkey loads. It's still full. I decided to use my bow. That was the first year. I was like, okay, no big deal. Second year, same thing.
Yeah.
By the 5th year, you're done.
Right.
Like, why do you want to keep borrowing my shotgun just to bring everything back and never use it? Well, I'm a bow hunter for life, which he was a bow hunter for life.
Live and breathe it.
You know, and he never used the shotgun once.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and you don't just borrow anybody your gun. I mean, You're not borrowing my wife. You're not borrowing my gun.
We do. He still has my Weatherby. It's been like a year and a half. But I had your Mossberg for, oh my God.
Yeah, quite a few
3 years.
I think you got the better deal out of that one.
The Weatherby?
Yeah.
I like my Weather. The Mossberg was nice, so.
They're decent.
It was good.
They're good.
It was a self-defense gun.
Yeah. We're not going to get into all that.
Right, because we don't have those guns anymore. Right. They're at the bottom of the lake after our boat capsized.
Right. Lost mine.
Yeah, I don't have any firearms.
They're all gone.
I don't even know why we're here.
But it was just funny, though. Last 5 years, every year he wanted to borrow the shotgun because he insisted he was going to kill a bird using a shotgun.
Yeah.
And I'd get a full box of shells back every year.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that's just... He was a bow hunter through and through, for sure. I mean, one of his last tattoos was the bow hunter for life tattoo on his left forearm. So outside of Dirt Nap, which again, like I said, there's
a lot.
He was a big brand ambassador for Rack.
Yeah.
And still, all the way to the very end. Adam and him were really close friends. That's how I got to meet him and Kevin and those guys. Great group of guys.
That's a great product. I really like it.
Look at that.
Hey, there you go.
We're in the sweatshirt right now. Yep. And we had a lot of fun, too, at doing some of those shows. In fact, that weekend one of those weekends in the Dells again, we went to this local bar. Not your typical Wisconsin Dells tourist bar, more of your local. I don't even know what would you call it.
It was like a local dive bar.
Local dive bar. I mean, it was kind of nice.
Yeah,
they had a one-man band and that, and we come in the whole crew. I mean, between Tacticam and Rack and whatnot,
it was like 12 of us.
I worked on that Saturday for Rack, and you guys were doing the Tacticam booth.
Yep.
And we all went out to dinner. Maybe was it Moose Jaw or something like that?
Yeah. Actually, it was Moose Jaw.
I think it was Moose Jaw, and then we all ended up at the bar. We're 20 deep, and we're just doing pull tabs like it's nobody's business. So
Paper
much so,
crack, I think it's called.
Yeah. The bartender got so mad at us that she just went over to the machine and unplugged it. You're done. Because we're just going. I mean, I'm telling you. I mean, we almost drained that machine.
I think Adam at one point in time was putting $100 bills into the thing.
Oh my God!
And he just kept grabbing more and more pull tabs.
It was insane. And I quite honestly, I don't quite blame her either.
Did anyone win it big?
I don't even know. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember.
I remember.
I know that this table would have probably been about 1.5 feet high.
I think there's a picture floating around out there.
Somebody's got to have it.
I hope so. That'd be great.
It's just a pile. It's just a pile in front of us. Or it's like a group picture, but the focus is on the big pile of dead pull tabs. And there was a one-man band playing there, and he was actually pretty good. And at one point, it was getting to be the end of the night. We were supposed to wrap up. We're like, well, how much money is it going to take for you to play for another hour? And Jason's out there cutting a rug. I'm out there cutting the rug. Adam's out there. We got this. I don't even know who this little old lady was. She had been about 80 years old.
She was one of the locals at that bar.
Yeah,
I think,
and she was all of maybe 5 foot tall. And that she's out there cutting it up with us. We got pictures with her, and we had an absolute blast. That was just one of those awesome nights that you have.
And didn't he end up playing for another hour too?
Oh, he did. Yeah, we paid him to.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he got paid.
No musician's going to turn down money.
I don't know what we paid him, $50, $100, something like that. We're like, will you play another?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'll play for another hour as long as the bar doesn't care. And they're like, yeah, keep these guys occupied because they were annoyed with us. The locals were, for some of them, anyways.
I mean, they were even getting mad when we were up spending money buying drinks.
All right, right.
Like getting mad at us.
Oh my gosh, I went up and I was buying like 6 beers and a couple mixers in that for a few of us in that. And it's loud and it's busy in there, and I'm kind of up there, and she kind of comes up, so you just kind of shout out your order thing,
Right,
like, can I get 6 Miller Lights and 2 Jack and Cokes or whatever, you know? And she stands there and goes, and I'm like, oh, that's it. That's it. Just those drinks right there.
Thank you.
And she goes, and I'm like, and she like, I'm kind of like, well, I'm
Right. Well, you're taking
quite a few drinks into it. And I'm like, and it's so loud in there. Like you said, this isn't just at the bar, you know what I mean? And it's loud in there. There's a lot of people. And then I'm like, can I please have 6 Miller Lights and 2 Jack and Cokes? Well, there you go.
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
gag me with a spoon.
I'm like, are you kidding me? And then she looks over at a local guy and that she's like, oh, these out of towners.
You're in the Dells.
I was gonna say maybe don't work in the Dells.
Right, you're literally working in
everybody from out of town.
Well, that's gonna give. I'm gonna give you a big tip after this.
Yeah.
Like,
here's a tip: don't eat yellow snow.
right. Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Never play leapfrog with a unicorn. You know, like that.
Don't
Those
piss
are the
into
tips,
the wind.
lady. These are the jokes, folks.
And then
Don't step on Superman's cape.
Knowing that.
But anyways,
That was a good night, though.
it was a lot of fun. We had a blast, as we often do at these shows. We always end up somewhere, whether it's a bar that smells like urinal cakes. We're not going to name that particular bar, but some of you in the know might know.
That was rough.
It ain't so far away either.
And I'm pretty sure there's one viewer that's watching that literally walked in, turned around, and said, "Nope, I'm out."
Oh yeah.
He didn't even stick around.
But if you stuck around, if you gave it a half an hour, your nose just
know
kind
what
of
you're
got
talking
singed.
I know what you're talking about.
On Pleasant Valley Road?
Yep. With the thing. And
I mean, I literally asked the bartender, I'm like, do you guys literally just take urinal cakes and throw them up in the heating and air conditioning vents here, like as a air freshener? Because it's real bad.
Yamahama.
I mean,
it's Fright Night.
But again, by a half hour, you just
You
kind of
get
got
used
over
to
it.
it. You taste it. It's over with.
Handful of shots, and you're good to go. But
you get home, and the wife says, "Where the hell were you? You smell like a kitty litter box."
oh my god, and Jason was just like, he was having a hard time that one night. He's like, we got to go sit on the back porch and that, which we end up doing, and that we end up sitting out there. But oh my gosh, so many good times with that. That's something I'm certainly going to miss. Nick and I are going to be working in Wisconsin Dells again this upcoming, not this weekend, but the weekend after.
Next weekend.
For the open season Sportsman's Expo at the Kalahari Resort. Words is hard. Resort. At the Buckstick booth, and that's going to be a tough one for us. It'll be the first time. Well, I mean,
just a trade show in general.
first time in a
is
long
gonna
time
be
since
tough.
you. It's just you and me. Jim, the owner, is going to be there in that, and we're going to have a few other guys probably pop in and stuff like that. But it'll be the first time
gonna say,
for you and
yeah.
I to not have Jason there.
Yeah.
Y'all need some help?
I think we're okay. But
All right. Well, if not,
I'll keep
let
you
me know.
posted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a thing or two.
But it'll be tough.
Stick.
It'll be the stick of the buck.
Stick of the buck.
That's going to be a tough one without having
just-
Jason there for sure.
The first trade show in general that I have done 3, maybe 4 years without Jason. So being that it's the first one without him, it's going to be a little difficult, I think, but we'll get by.
Yeah, we will.
make
He would want you to.
Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't say he lived. I mean, he lived for the outdoors. He lived for his family, for his daughter, his grandkids, and things like that. But right up there in the mix of all those things,
the shows.
and that he loved doing shows. He loved talking to people.
I was just going to say
About
he likes to talk to the people. You know, he gets to put his passion of what he enjoys and what he loves, and he gets to bring that to other people that walk through the shows.
Right.
You know, and that's what Jason was all about.
Yeah. Right. No,
You know, and
I think that's kind of why you guys were all friends, right? I mean, Elijah as well, and because you guys are all like that as well, right? Yeah. When you find somebody that shares that common ground, let's talk about it.
right.
It never
guys
gets old.
Right, it never does. You know, it's something that you're excited about. You want to talk to Scott. You want to talk to whoever it is about it, and that's what's great. You know, and I wish that more people shared that, shared their knowledge, shared their interest with other people in the industry, right? And just kind of cultivate that growth, you know, cultivate that and let it grow. And it's a beautiful thing, really.
It is.
So, yeah, and you know, I think that's kind of was like the common ground that you guys all shared.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Damn it. Well,
I guess, you know what, on that note, Luke, what time do we got? I think we're going to go ahead and do our brief intermission here. But I want you guys to stick around, please.
Yes,
I want to
please
hear
do.
your stories. We're going to get to some more of the comments and that. And then we're gonna try to open up the phone lines here for you guys to call in and share a short story or anecdote about Jason. We would love to hear from you. So please stick around. We'll be back in about 5 minutes.
2 and 2.
What is an eponym? A person after whom a discovery, invention, or place is named or thought to be named. There are very few eponyms in the hunting industry. A product so popular and so functional, it becomes the act of the product. So how does something become an eponym? It's the best, hands down.
He kicked it. I was like, oh, Scott's going to kill him.
Whoopsie.
He's like, no, it's fine. There's marks on the floor. No, there is not.
Yeah, no. Yeah, well, Big's a Luke individual. Is that what I just said? Luke's a big individual. Big boy. All right, guys, welcome back to the second half of our tribute to Jason Schroeder. I hope we're doing him justice here, and we're trying to keep it lighthearted as much as possible. You know, we've talked about this is difficult for us and for a lot of you watching that have known Jason throughout the years. He'll be greatly missed, but I think it's important to do something like this here where we talk about the fun times and the good memories and the things that made us laugh and everything in between, right?
Yeah. Agreed.
So we're happy to take any phone calls. If anybody wants to call in and share a little anecdote or a little story about Jason, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. The number's up on the screen there now. But what we were talking about was him being kind of a brand ambassador for a lot of different companies, and obviously another one was Tacticam. And that's how we all kind of, Tacticam is the one that kind of got the three of us together in that. You and I were doing a show, and then I introduced you to Jason, and it was kind of all at that same time. And that was probably the show that we had done the most with, and that together. Whether it be you and your wife and Jason, or you, me, and Jason, and everything in between.
Well, they're in the beginning. I mean, they're for like the first year, you were involved in a lot of the shows. Midwest Racks and Rods wasn't as big as what it is now, and it didn't take off as much in the early years.
Right.
So you had more of that free time to do the shows with us.
Yeah, I think that year after you had met him, I think, didn't Jason work the show with you while Midwest had a booth going on at the same show? So, and we were interviewing different people from the show. So
Was that at West Bend?
yeah, that was at
That was a
Deer
lot of
Fest,
fun.
and like I don't know what
That was
year
fun.
that was, 2020 or 2021,
4 or 5
Yeah, it
years
was
ago.
before the,
Something like that.
the shitstorm.
Yeah, it was something like that. But, and then of course, outside of being a brand ambassador with all these other things, he was an ambassador for the outdoors and for whitetail deer and that, doing the work that he's done with Orion and Brad as part of the world of whitetails and stuff. And actually, to go even further back, like we mentioned a little bit earlier about the stuff out at Shalom Wildlife Zoo.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't familiar with that, who aren't local to Wisconsin, I mean, I think if anybody who lives in Wisconsin knows about Shalom, it's a zoo now, but before it was like a wildlife sanctuary kind of a thing, and where it was more buffalo, elk, and deer, and now it's expanded into so much more. I mean, they got tigers and lions and bears. Oh my! But Jason was always really good friends with Dave, the owner there. And one of the first events that I ever did with Jason was called the Rut Roundup out there. And that was when Elijah and I were still with Real Deal Outdoors. And he had this idea to bring in people to talk about the hunting side of whitetail deer, because people go out there, go to these zoos and stuff. And this, I mean, it has gotten to the point right now where people in India are following the page to check in on the tigers and from all over the world. I mean, it's got this huge following. But Jason obviously was always about the hunting side of things. So he wanted to do this thing. We did it early October, where ourselves and there was, I believe Brad was out there in that, and he was set up on a different side of the zoo in that, and various other, I think Doug Gonery with West Bend Elevator talking about food plots and stuff. And it was just to kind of educate the public, this side of the public, that there's more to just about a zoo and white-tailed deer and that there's the conservation side of it and why hunters do what we do, and that we're not just bloodthirsty killers, that there's a reason. And this is what we do, and this is why we do it, and we eat the meat, and and we harvest these animals because it's what needs to be done for conservation. And I thought that was a really cool thing that Jason did. And then the next year, so that started in 2018 and 2019, then we were all a team with Midwest at that point, and we did it again the following year. And it was great for the kids. We had this kind of booth set up and then in a tent with picnic tables and stuff, and we'd have shed antlers, and we'd have deer hides and elk hides and all these different things. And then on top of it, we had the tools of the trade. We had our bows and crossbows and Tacticamera, the Tacticams, the trail cameras, all these different things to kind of educate people. Like, these are the, this is what we do. This is what it's all about. These are some of the tools we use. Educate the kids, educate the parents, and that, because let's be honest, not everybody that goes to a zoo like that is a hunter. Some of them are just zoo people. Right. They just like to see animals and that, and they don't understand why we have to hunt these animals. And we were always set up right alongside this one of the pens there, and that where the deer would literally come up, and that, and we were feeding them carrots right from our mouth and stuff. And like, here, giving the kids carrots and stuff. Like, we don't hate these animals. We love these animals. We love them so much. This is why we do what we do. Yep. And Jason was always a part of that. And that was a big part of who he was. He wasn't a bloodthirsty killer.
No.
As none of us are. And it was really important for him to educate the general public, kind of dispel some of those.
You talk about being a brand ambassador. How about being a brand ambassador for conservation, for hunting, for fishing? He was all of that.
Right.
It wasn't just about the latest and greatest product, something that he believed in. It was about the education piece. It was about the youth understanding what it is that we're trying to accomplish, right? Yep. And that is a very key piece to who Jason was, 100%, no question,
no doubt.
Yeah, so much so that, Jason even struggled in the last several years in that, with like having to take does out and stuff because of his work with Brad and that. But literally, like, knowing that it's something that needs to be done. You need to keep a good buck to doe ratio.
Yeah, well, the first year because we shared a lease. The last, I want to say 3 or 4 years, Jason has hunted on the property that I have is my lease up north. He first came out there, and I'm like, dude, we're going to have to get rid of some of these doe. He was just adamant he was not shooting a doe.
Yeah.
At the end of that first day that he was out there and seen about 15 doe and only 2 bucks in the distance, the next time we went out there, he shot a doe.
Right.
Once he realized the buck to doe ratio and what needed to be done,
that it was out of whack.
Then he knew that we had stuff that we needed to do. This is what we need to do. Let's make this good property. Let's make it happen. And he got a doe that next time we were out there.
Oh, it is important, right? To maintaining the health of the herd, for sure. Exactly. Even we've talked about that with cull bucks.
That there's not really such a thing.
Right. Yeah, right. That there isn't. Right. But
unless there's this one particular buck that we call Slickback.
Slickback,
He's special.
But anywho, so with Shalom, How did he even get started in that? Do you know the backstory with that?
Dave, the owner, was a longtime friend in that. I did know at one time, and I just don't recall at this point
That'll
what
happen.
the actual how those two end up becoming connected, and how that friendship continued to grow throughout the years. Where he was basically like family out there, and it was able to just, talk to him and say, hey, I want to do this thing. Yep, let's do it.
Almost sounds like
No
him
real
with-
questions
with
asked.
Brad at the deer
Yeah,
farm.
very much so.
I mean, that was like another family for him, and that's
Yeah.
He raved and talked about all the stuff that he would do, go up and help Brad at the farm.
Tranquilizing
work
and
with the deer.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
talk about that a little bit more.
I mean, he had his own.
pull that
specific
microphone
deer.
just a little bit closer. There you go.
He had a couple deer out there that he would call his deer.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
these are my deer. This is my deer I get to watch over. But with Brad, he used to go to the farm. He would always help Brad on the farm, tranquilize deer. Get them ready for sale.
Inoculate them and stuff.
Yep.
Do the,
Do the different whatever they do on a deer farm kind of thing.
Yep.
Whether they're pulling something from a deer or giving them something. But he was very big on the whole
CWD.
CWD. That's what it was. So a lot of the research towards CWD. He took a lot of
Oh, for
passion
sure.
in the research of CWD and everything that Brad did at his farm. Now, full details, I don't know exactly what all they did, but he's like, I'm going to the farm. We're going to go help Brad. Or you'd see pictures of him on a tractor or him out with the deer or holding, newborn or new calves or
Fawns.
fawns. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank here.
That's okay. It's all right.
Holding the fawns, and he's like playing, holding the little deer, working with them, feeding them.
Yeah.
He loved being out at that farm with Brad. He was always talking about being at the farm. I don't know details of what exactly he did, but the pictures show.
No, I mean
show a lot,
those are the things he always talked about.
It is, yeah.
Like just, always wanting to go out there as much as he possibly could.
Yep.
Trying to fit that in because that was a hefty drive for him too, up the Plainfield area to get there. But he'd always try to make time to get up there and do those things. And you look at the pictures and just the smile on his face and every single one of those pictures, whether he was riding the tractor, whether he was holding a tranquilized giant buck or cradling a little fawn, newborn fawn.
I remember
just
that picture distinctive.
Yeah.
Yeah, holding that fawn. I think bottle feeding it.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, that
Big smile.
such a huge
Brad
passion
was his
for him.
mentor, 100%. Like he looked up to Brad and what Brad was doing on that farm so much that
Absolutely.
I mean, he just loved going up to that farm and helping Brad.
That's awesome.
So
I mean, you were there the day that he came to visit him and his wife while we were in hospice and that. And I had met Brad a couple times before, briefly at different shows because he'd be there with the World of Whitetails and for Orion and that. But it was just really great just to kind of sit back there. After you and I went out to lunch, took a break, gave them some time together, and then we came back and just kind of sat there and just listened to them, talk back and forth, and just the joy on
the smile
Jason's
on Jason's face
yes,
at that
was
time.
just priceless, and how those two interconnected. It was very much, I would equate it to a father type figure for him in some ways. Having
in a sense,
since he had lost his father, Brad was very much a brother / father type figure, and I thought it was fantastic. I always enjoyed hearing the stories that Jason had about his time.
And that too, we bring that up, that time that he was in hospice. Just the kind of person Jason was, whether he knew or didn't know. Oh, Brad, I'll be out of here and I'll be up there to the farm and we'll do this and help you out.
Yeah.
Or same thing. He's like, man, I got a couple weeks. I got first, second, and third season for turkey. Like I got to get stuff ready. I got to get out of here and get home. The whole time he just kept a positive attitude.
Right.
And
He never gave up hope. He never gave up the fight.
We talked about coming down and drop him off and push him to go fishing one last time. You know what I mean? Oh, we're doing it. We're making it happen.
I think we're getting
I think we're getting a call.
call here.
Call from
Elijah.
Oh,
Hey.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello, you're on with Midwest.
Hey, this is Elijah.
Elijah.
Hi, Elijah.
buddy?
What's up, brother?
Am I on live or am I talking to somebody on the side?
No, you're live, buddy. You're on the
live.
show.
Oh, jeez,
No,
Louise.
no f bombs.
Yeah. So
Okay.
be careful there, weed
Well, I
flopper.
had to call in.
Absolutely.
I was talking about my buddy Jason. Scott up there, and I've been watching the show the whole time. I love what you guys do.
Yeah. Elijah, for
I think
those of you
guys are
that don't
representing
know,
us very well.
hang on real quick, Elijah. I'll just introduce you here. We've dropped your name several times throughout the show here. Elijah Keller is one of the founding members of Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoors as well. Pretty long time friend of Jason's and one of those guys in the inner circle. And that if you've been looking at the comments and stuff, you've seen him chiming in here talking about the Mountain Dew. I think you were the first one to comment here tonight. But so, what do you got for us, Elijah?
Yeah.
You got a story to tell us?
Well, we got a bunch probably.
I think, yeah.
I've been trying to think of a good one. I think one that is kind of going off what you guys were last talking about there before I had to jump off and get my kids to bed was how Midwest became about with us four and
Yep.
and that is Jason to me was he kind of like just took me under his wing. It was almost like an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Just watching him work. I got to go to a few shows with him, and he introduced me to some of his good friends and that. And, before I met Jason, I was in a different kind of group, and
With
it was
me.
all about, yeah. It was supposed to be all about, real outdoor stuff and, what people are missing and not getting all in the hype of getting the brand new bow and the best things on the market and all that. That's one thing that I really liked about Jason was he didn't back anything that he didn't believe in.
Yeah.
I watched it firsthand when I got to go to shows with him.
Yeah.
I pretty much followed him
100%.
around like a little puppy. And he knew so many people. But at the end of the day, he was always just about the right products and the right people.
Right.
And I think it just shows from what Scott and Nick and Drew and you guys are talking about is everything he didn't believe in, really.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And you can tell from his walls and his pictures and his love for the outdoors that that's pretty much all that mattered. It was,
So how long did you
know,
know Jason, Elijah?
yeah, like he talked me into this buck stick, right? So we get Midwest going. It's like, oh yeah, well we need some sponsors and some video content and that. Obviously, that's what things run on. Is the more clicks and likes you get. And he shows me this buck stick thing, and I'm like, whatever, dude.
I said the
That
same
ain't never
thing.
gonna
I'm
work.
right there with you.
He takes me out to my property, and where I took him out there, actually, but he's got his little rubber gloves on, his little gland sense, and set that thing up, and oh my Lord. I got pictures for days off that buck stick. It's still sitting on my property.
That works. That's why we back it.
That's
I
funny.
know.
That's funny you said that, Elijah, because another true story is when Jason turned me onto the buck stick at the property that we hunted. We went out there. He's like, "Oh, you got to try this buck stick. You got to try this, and you got to put this out there. Like, where's one area that you never see deer?" I pointed right to the middle of the field, right in an area where they never went through. I kid you not. By the time we left the property, got a mile down the road, the camera already went off, and the first deer was at that damn buck stick.
Yeah.
I was like, "You have got to be kidding me!"
Yeah.
I don't want to turn this into an advertisement, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, that thing was
the damn
it's
thing
amazing
works.
How that
Yeah.
works.
Yep.
But I went out to the Indiana. No, that wasn't Indiana. It was Iowa.
Iowa.
It was Indiana. Iowa show with him and Bill, and just walking around with them. looking at all the booths and the people that he talked to, he'd turn around and tell me, he's like, hey, check this out. I'm like, this guy's full of shit. I'm going to go tell him right now, pretty much. So many words. But he'd go up there and start talking to the guy, and he's like, see, I told you. And then he'd go up to the next booth, and he's like, hey, my name's Jason. I'm into marketing, and who knows what he said. But next thing you know, those guys are best friends. And
Yep.
I think the one booth we went to, he was looking for a feeder, the water feeder or something for Brad's farm.
For the Sandpoint?
What do you call that? That little stick and pick water
Sandpoint.
thing?
Yeah, Sandpoint.
Sandpoint thing. Yep, I think he met some guys out there, and he brought that up there and put some feeders. But when Jason said he was going to do something, I mean, he turned it into it, and he actually did something with it.
Yep.
He's like, and that's how it works, brother.
Yeah, yeah.
It was awesome watching him. I could just follow him around at a show all day. I didn't even need to be in the picture or nothing. I just love watching him just work at the show. That's where
do
like
his
his
magic.
little home. He's like, watch this.
Yeah, and you'd be amazed, like even at the Iowa show, because I know I was out at that same Iowa show
you
with you
were
guys the
sick,
one time,
right?
and you get out and you're sort of just walking through the show. I mean, we were in a completely different state, and the amount of people that knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah,
we're
that's
like
what
4
I said.
hours
We went
from
down to eat
home.
breakfast, and I don't even know the names of the people that sat down next to us. He's like, this so-and-so, and if I sat and thought about it after I got home with you, I don't know who they were, and I'm like, oh my God.
It's
like,
been
yeah,
like
you
that
just had
since day
breakfast
one.
with so-and-so.
Yep. Ever since I've known Jason,
Fucking crazy.
doesn't matter what show we're at or where we are. I mean, and I've done a lot of shows with Jason, and every year there's more and more people that come to him, and he knows all these people, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, what? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
He
I think
just
that kind of
knows so
speaks
many people.
to the legacy that Jason has left, right? I mean, he's impacted
A lot of
a
people.
lot
So many
of
people's
people,
lives. Yes,
you know,
100%.
and all in good ways. It's something that we should all just strive to be, right? Whether it be in the outdoors or if you're just a casual outdoorsman, whatever the case may be.
Nary a bad word out of his mouth against another person. Honestly, I mean,
Never badmouthed another company. Never badmouthed
No.
another person.
no,
I mean, he always found the positive in everything.
right?
Yeah.
Like he found, it would be about, regardless if it was a competitor or anything like that. He didn't really shoot it down. I mean, obviously not publicly or whatever, but even amongst our circles, that wasn't really his style to badmouth or whatever. It was more about just continuing to promote the things that he did believe in,
Right.
and not look at the negative side and try to shoot down another company. I mean, yes, there's times look, there's some pop-up things that come out here from time to time and that or whatever that we all kind of be like, all right, that's a copycat or or they're trying to copy something and whatever. But at the end of the day, honestly, though, that Jason's true nature was sincere and honest and good-hearted for sure. So, well, Elijah, we appreciate you calling in that, and we'll talk to you really soon.
And you better come
Hope to see you
ice
next
fishing
weekend.
next year, damn it.
And next weekend, we better see you at the
All right.
Dells.
Next off, open season. I'll see you guys up there.
Roger that, buddy.
All right, brother.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for calling in.
If Shikari and Caesar, you guys are listening, thinking about you guys.
Amen.
You keep repping that branding, huh?
Absolutely.
So just to
All right, thanks.
expand a little bit on what you guys were talking about, the fact that he didn't speak ill. Take 5 seconds to think about how easy that is to speak ill, right?
Right, it's
Something
easier than
that,
a
oh
route to
my
go.
God,
Especially a knockoff of another product that you already
Right.
support and you see it.
it could be another product, it could be a person, it could be whatever. you're making conversation with somebody and they show their disinterest in this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
How easy it is to just become agreeable with them in that point, right? In that point in time. Jason wasn't that. He wasn't.
Because it reflects badly.
There was
when you do that kind of thing.
One of the last shows I did with them, and it kind of comes down to this. There's the one main product that we rep and speak so highly about. At that show, we had found a complete knockoff, almost similar to what we had. And even though he was like, oh, that's BS, they're stealing our design, or they're trying to do this, or they're doing that, that was the most negative you got, because even on top of that, where the product was by far nowhere near as good of a quality as what we had.
It was a trademark infringement.
He still found something positive. Well, I guess that's kind of cool. At least he's got that. He still had something good to say about it.
Yeah. Well, you're right.
How many people really can do that?
Mm-hmm. It's a good point. Absolutely. Luke, what do we have? We got any comments or anything like that? Or
Yeah, Corey Becker. He met Jason 13 years ago and friends ever since. Never had hunting in common, but didn't. The best printer out there.
Awesome.
To press 1.
Sounds like we have a call here from one of the OGs.
You're live on
from
Midwest.
OG. Oh my gosh, Damali.
Holy cow, buddy.
Hello, boys.
Welcome back, buddy.
How's it going, you handsome son of a
Yes,
bitch?
sir. I
You?
was watching on my TV.
Oh, nice. Well, that's too bad. Hopefully it's a real small TV.
No.
Too much detail.
How's
on those
everyone
babies.
doing, considering?
We're doing all right. How are you?
Getting through.
I'm good, actually. Hey, I was just going to share a story here.
Yeah.
Back in 1982 or 83.
Chris, I'm
when
going
I
to stop
first
you
met
real
Jay,
quick.
so that-
I'm going to stop you real quick here, okay, before you get in the story. So, as those of you who've been listening here and watching along, we have Chris Damali on the line right now. Chris is also one of the co-founders, one of the original members of Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoors. And if you've been watching for long enough, then you remember Chris and I co-hosted there, right there. That was the old studio right there. That's popping up on the screen where Jason is. And that. So that's who we have on the line. Chris, glad to have you on.
Mountain Dew in that picture.
What? Go ahead. Back to your story.
So I first got into bull hunting because of Jay, and that was back in 1982 or 83, whenever I was like sixth grade. I forget how old you are then.
Yeah.
What, 12 maybe?
I don't
Or now you're dating yourself, but.
Yeah, well. Yeah, so I saw Jay shooting his bow in his parents' backyard, and his mom kept yelling at him because it was illegal where they lived. But either way, he was still shooting.
I thought illegal was nothing more than a sick bird.
Uh-huh.
All right, go ahead.
But
Chris.
anyway, yeah, so he let me shoot it a little bit, and then I was sort of hooked there. And then he came with me and my mom. I don't know if you guys remember Elk Mountain Outfitters that was up north side of West Bend.
Yes, yep.
And that's where I got my first bull from. And the guy tried talking my mom into something cheaper. He's like, yeah, no, that one's no good. That one's no good. And it wound up being a Martin Lynx with energy cams.
Nice.
And back then it was quite pricey. But yeah, he got me into my first bull, and we bull hunted for a few years. And yeah, so, and my love for the outdoors started then. He showed me pretty much, getting started in deer hunting when I don't even think they had VHS tapes out yet.
Still listening to
So,
the
yeah,
track.
The Drurys, were the Drurys on beta at that time?
You actually met Fred Bear in person.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's my history back with Jay. And then he and I connected again when, the Deer Fest. And I was working for Wisconsin Crossbow Federation, working a booth there. Jay came through.
Yeah.
And he's got like 12 people following him, like his little posse. And he was with some group, I think, called Wisconsin Bone at the time.
Yeah, Wisconsin Bone.
I think that was
and then that turned into Team Swag, right?
Well, then he and I started Team Swag. He was working for Swag Promotions down in like Menominee Falls or something.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if they went out of business or what happened, but that's when he and I decided, let's start doing something, get our own thing going. And you mentioned Shalom before, and that's when I met you and Elijah out at Shalom that day. And that's where it all started, basically. We wanted something where we could all be ourselves. You're not stuck to one brand or anything. Everybody can shoot what they want and how they want and what gear they want, and you didn't have to buy stuff. And
right.
And I think that's, we all sort of have the same mindset.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Chris. I mean, and one might say honestly that Wisconsin Bone and Team Swag were all kind of birthed Midwest, wouldn't you say? In some ways.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like you said.
I just
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I hear you breathing. I was just gonna say it was just so funny when I saw like that whole posse. They were, Jay is 2 years older than I am, maybe a year, and then he had, I don't know, kids. I'll say kids that are like 5 years younger, but they were following him around like he was Santa Claus.
His entourage.
Oh yeah, I mean, right? I mean, he was a mentor for so many people. I've always kind of looked at myself as a mentor to some, getting them involved in the outdoors and hunting and stuff.
That's accurate.
But it's nothing compared to what Jason has done.
What he did, right?
I mean, there's countless. There's so many people that have made tributes to Jason over these last couple of weeks here and commented on things in that said, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have never tried this if it wasn't for you. And I think that just speaks volumes to the man that he was a supporter and a guy that would always lift you up and try to make you better. And he was never somebody that was afraid of somebody going up above him. You know what I mean? Right. Because those kinds of things were important to him or his character. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wouldn't have known you. I would have never met you if it wasn't for Jason. I mean, that all stemmed back all the way back to 2018, early 2018. And, I mean, it feels like forever ago, but you and I have been very close friends ever since, and we have Jason to thank for that. And
one of my favorite stories here, quick. So when I was doing the crossbow thing, Dan Small from Outdoor Wisconsin was out at my gun club.
Yeah.
And he was going to do a thing, about how to shoot crossbow, blah, blah, blah. And Jay was with me, and we're going through the 3D archery course. And they had what the heck was it? Either like a water buffalo or a moose or something. It was a ginormous target.
Okay.
And it was me, Dan Small, Jason, and I don't know who's some other guy from Outdoor Wisconsin. So this moose was only like 40 yards away. Jason missed it. And he's talking up storm like, how good he is. And at the practice range there, he was hitting them, when we went out. He lost 11 arrows. Oh. And we weren't even at like the 9th target yet. And Dan Small is looking at me like, is this guy for real? And they nicely edited out all of Jason's shots. Because he was, what the? And to his, and I couldn't help laughing because I know Jay's a better shot than that. He's a lot better shot than me.
For sure.
But he thought, and how expensive those arrows are. And he's like, what is going on? And then when we get back, he stomped off. It was a hot, sweaty day, and he probably needed to rejuvenate with a couple Mountain Dews or something. But when we got back, his scope was like so loose on his crossbow that he was shooting that day. But oh my God, 11 arrows in like 8 targets, and he missed the moose at 40 yards. I mean, he didn't even get the body.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Right.
Oh yeah, a lot of good times over the years.
If
All
he
right,
was shooting
guys,
his,
well,
if
good
he was
show.
shooting his bow, you know full well he would have been hitting them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he showed me how loose his scope was. Unless he loosened it before I got back.
I was gonna say he might have loosened that before you got back.
This is it. This is why.
Well, Chris,
But, all right,
really,
guys.
really
Well,
good to hear
great
your
show,
voice,
and-
bud. Thank you for calling
Yeah,
in.
Thank you, Chris.
One of the OGs.
Yeah.
Chris
That was
Demolished.
nice.
Original co-host, absolutely. Yeah, Luke, what do you got?
We got a great story from Shikari. I got to share it because I laughed a lot when I read it. Back in April, when Dad was getting his chemotherapy, his room overlooked a pond. There was some geese laying eggs out there at the time. An elderly man was walking his dog, and I looked over, and the man was letting his dog lick and play with the eggs. Next thing I know, Dad has his IV pole dragging behind him, ran outside yelling at this man, and you see 4 nurses running out after him.
I've heard this story. Jason told me, and then Shikari told me her version of it, and both of them are absolutely priceless. That is great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
What's
story.
Jason's version of that? Like, what? I want to know his viewpoint because I'm just picturing.
I think he was a
Jason's
little more
skinny
animated.
ass with the frickin' hospital gown
I
flapping.
don't,
With the,
well, I don't know about all that, but he was very animated telling me the story about it and how mad he was about this guy letting this guy's dog mess with these. And I told Jason, I said, like in the cities and that, like they literally will send people out there to stomp on the eggs and that because,
right.
you know, like they don't want this population of city geese and stuff or whatever. Right or wrong, I don't know, but that I knew right from Jump Street when he said she had a story about Jason and geese. I knew exactly where that was going, and that's Jason to a T for sure.
Yep.
Man, I feel like we're missing a lot of things, and we've been kind of jumping all over the place. Nick, what do you got? What's one of your all-time favorite stories with Jason?
I think one of the biggest things, we spend a lot of time fishing. And if you've ever seen the movie Grumpy Old Men, like that's one of the,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that kind of hurts most. Is
Hey,
we were always talking about
dickhead.
growing old. Yeah. I'll be down at the other end. Hey, dickhead, throw me a minnow. If you watch a movie and you see the way these two guys bicker, that was me and Jason to a T.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all out of love. It was never out of anger. And we always had told each other, it's like one of these days that's going to be us out on the boat, the two old guys. And then you get the news and it just kind of crushes it on you, but the biggest thing is just most of the memories. It's not that I have any one in general that is more important or better than the other. And he's going to be missed. I mean, he's really going to be missed. I mean, that was my best friend. We did a lot in the outdoors and hunted the same property, had a lot of the same beliefs and same passion for the outdoors. And he's already missed. So it'll be a tough season coming, but it'll be good. So
Y'all are making this hard. I'm not gonna try to sit here and pretend that I had the same relationship that you guys did with Jason, but quite honestly, there was times that when it came to Midwest Racks and Rods that I didn't always see eye to eye with Jason. But sitting here listening to you guys tell the stories and just my own experiences with him, it just makes me wish that I had the same friendship that you guys did. Because when you talk about someone that is genuine, and you look up the meaning and definition of genuine, that was Jason, right? Yeah, I mean, I know I was supposed to help out a lot more in that regard when it comes to the show, but there's, how does anybody listen to any of the stories that are being told, all the memories that were shared, and not just have some sort of connection to what a great man that he was, you know, and just from this day forward, try to be more like that man going forward, right? And to share the same outlook that he had day in and day out. Again, it strikes a chord with me that literally weeks before him passing, where it would be so easy for anybody else to tap out and be done and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna. I mean, it's almost insane to think about. He's on the ice fishing because that's how much it meant to him. Not just the act of fishing. It was all of it, right? It was being there with the son-in-law. It was being there with you. It was being there with the team. He wanted to be there, and that is admirable.
Yeah, it's a testament to his true self, you know, like to who he was.
We had a show not that long ago. I produced. It was you, Nick, and Jason. I think you were sitting here. Jason was sitting there. Never would have guessed that he had cancer. Never would have guessed. He didn't bring it up. He didn't talk about it. He didn't play this woe is me card one bit. And you know, as well as I know, right? When you have a debilitating disease like we both have, right? Let me rephrase that. How many times have we thought to ourselves, you know, if we told people that we had cancer, they would understand our disease a little bit more, right? They would have this outpouring of compassion, right? Because you bring up the C word, and that is horrible, right? And it is. I'm not downplaying that by any means. So stick with me through this journey of what I'm trying to say. Jason never played that. Never played that.
No.
Right? All the time we've only ever wanted some understanding, some just, okay, yeah, I understand what you're going through. Jason's like, F all that. I don't care what anybody else thinks of what I'm going through or doing this or that. I'm going to be the best person when I wake up today.
Yeah.
And I hope I wake up tomorrow and I can be the same best person then.
He hit it so well. And so you talk about that last episode that he was on with you. He had just gotten his chemo put in that day.
That day.
And not only that, it was a very traumatic experience too for him. I'm not going to get into what all happened there, but I mean, and like we knew it. He told me, and I'm like, dude, we can do this in next week or something like that. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
He was almost offended that you would even suggest that.
And not to cut into it, but that whole time too, because of the side they put the chemo port on, he was pissed off they put the chemo port there because turkey season.
Right.
And when I put the shotgun up there, what am I going to do?
And just another excuse to use the bow.
I guess I want all of our viewers and listeners out there to understand how easy it would be to shut down. You get that diagnosis, you go through the prognosis, you go through everything, right? And how easy it would be, and no one would fault you. Right? No one would fault you if you just be like, yeah, this is it. I accepted it. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to do anything. This son of a bitch never let it define him, ever.
Right.
And that in of itself is incredible.
And it speaks volumes.
Incredible. When you, I don't even know if I can. I don't know if what I'm saying is really striking home.
No, it is. I mean, I
is.
think everybody knows. I mean,
It is.
and anybody that's ever known Jason is going to understand that. I mean, that's
Definitely.
It's incredible.
He put so many people first, and I mean, and in his final days, weeks, and even months or whatever, what was most important to him, I mean, is for as big as the outdoors was, and that never stopped. Like, he never stopped talking about, like, one more this, one more that, and that. But it was about his daughter,
Shikari and the boys.
Shikari, Caesar, the boys, his grandkids, and that. And I think by and far was the most important, and as it should be, right? We do these shows. Anybody in the industry and stuff, like, we think hunting and fishing in the outdoors is the most important thing. And we talk about how it runs through our veins, and we talk about always outdoors and all these things. But at the end of the day, what it's really about is family and that. And that's why we had to take a step back from doing the show here for a period of time, for a 6-week period. I told Jason, I said, I'm going to get you back home. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to help take care of you. You're going to be close to your daughter. I'm down the road now. We're going to do this thing. And that's why we took that step back that we did. And now we're back. And as Jason would want it, as quickly as possible. I mean, it was a conversation I've had with my wife in the days leading up to this. Is this too soon? You know, tomorrow will be 1 week. I mean, is it too soon? And I don't. In ways, yes, and in other ways, no. Like, I think it's important that we don't dwell on our sorrow. It's okay to be sad. It's okay for us to feel the way we feel, and we're allowed to feel it for as long as we want to feel it. Yeah. And that goes for all of you out there as well, because that's part of the healing process. Dying is just as natural as living. And we're all going to go through it. We're going to embrace the memories that we have with Jason. We're going to honor those memories. We're going to honor the life that he lived and try to live through those things, live our lives like Jason would want us to be living our lives. And that's why we're doing a celebration of life for him, and that we're not having a funeral for Jason.
Right. No, but I think that if you really want to honor Jason, live life to its fullest.
Yeah.
Because that's what he did.
Right.
Whether it be through the love of his family or his love of the outdoors or his love for his business, he was dedicated like you read about.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And that is something that we all should strive to be.
So I'm gonna wrap this up real quick with a little, like, I don't really have a story, right? Because I have all sorts of stories.
Sure.
The thing I'm going to miss most about Jason is just our phone conversations, to be honest with you. He was a guy that I could talk to. I'm a night owl. He was a night owl. Well, mostly because he was hopped up on Mountain Dew. But he was a guy that I could call like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. And we could talk for 2 hours. Whether that was 2 hours wasted, and I use that in quotes now because it was never wasted when you really think back about it. 2 hours wasted trying to plan a DIY hunt in North Dakota or something like that never came to fruition.
Never went through.
But I'm just gonna miss those phone calls, and I'm gonna miss not being able to call him. And I think that's what hurts the most. It's not the hunts that we went on together, the shows we did. the podcast, anything like that. It's going to be just those conversations. And that's what I think I'm going to miss the most, for sure.
I think that we should be done now.
I think so too.
The conversations on the way to the property. Honestly, that meant more than anything than actually hunting with them. But
Right.
we would always drive together to go hunting.
Yeah.
And then, long hour drives, that conversation that you would have with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, right? You never know when the last is going to be.
Yeah.
So as much as you might have this, that, or the other, as much as you might have this, that, or the other going on in your life, and you get that call when maybe it's at the most inopportune time from whomever. Maybe just take that call and maybe have that conversation.
Or call back real quick.
Right, or do whatever.
You never know when it's going to be the last chance.
Right.
Last time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know you talked about it, feeling bad that you didn't go on that hunt. You can't dwell on that. Just focus on the present, focus on the now, and focus on being the best that you can be for everybody, All right.
Yeah, Jason will be greatly missed by all of us, and the best thing we can do is just honor his memory and the legacy that he leaves behind for his family and for us and for every life he touched.
I just want to say, what I
just gotta get one more last word.
I gotta get in one last word.
Go ahead.
I think on behalf of Jason's family, right? I don't want to speak for them, but you being there throughout the whole ordeal and doing everything that you did and being very selfless about it all, we should all be thankful for and appreciative. And maybe you did it selfishly, not in the terms of you want adoration, congratulations. That was never the case. You did it selfishly because you love Jason, and that's what mattered to you most.
Yeah, I made a promise to him and was dedicated to fulfilling that promise. So I think it's a good time to call it, huh? We're going to miss you, Jason. We love you so much. You mean the world to so many people. We appreciate everybody that's tuned in tonight and commented and just been on this journey with us here for the last couple hours as we tried our best here to pay tribute to our friend Jason Schroeder the best we can, and he will not be forgotten. We will continue to throughout the years keep his memory alive. So, until next time, guys, as Jason would say, and as we always say, always outdoors.